It's both and neither simultaneously. Life happens to you, and things do happen for you.
Is it broken and not broken at the same time?
It's Schrodinger's life.
So now that my mind is set that, hey, I am going to friend up, I have set my intention.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? Welcome to L.I.F.E Podcast. This is where we listen and inspire friends in entertainment.
And everywhere.
All right, because life happens to everyone. It is I, St. Nicodemus Jenkins in the building. It's Christmas time. Actually, it isn't quite yet.
It's not quite that.
I'm not supposed to date episodes, but it's not Christmas yet.
It's not Christmas time.
But I like the hoodie. It is fall. It is my favorite time of season.
Yeah. I broke the sweater out. I got
this isn't going to work very long. My neck is sweating.
The sweater part of the closet is about to start getting a run.
It's the best times, the best gear. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
I don't disagree. I'm Johnny Vaughn. Hi.
Yo, what up? Yo, welcome to L.I.F.E Podcast. You know what it is, y'all. Thank you so much for listening and inspiring. So, let me point this out real quick.
Okay.
LIFE, as you know, is an acronym for listening and inspiring fans and entertainment and everywhere, right? Keyword there is listening. Now, I listen to you. You listen to me. If we have a guest on, we listen to a guest. But we don't listen to y'all enough. Do you know why we don't listen to them enough?
I don't know.
They're not talking enough.
Hey, you should shut up right now. You're doing too much.
So you make your comments, and we appreciate that. You know, with follows and the comments, we like that. But we want y'all to be more like, y'all need to talk about this. I need to know more about this. What you think about this?
Okay.
Yo, Stone, I'm dealing with this. We want to listen to y'all stuff so that we can then listen and inspire.
Okay, I will let go. I thought you was going with that.
Yeah, I ain't going to diss them now. Come on, you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
It's like, wait a minute, we're still a few away from that million for the 2023.
No, you don't bite the hands that feed
like,
you.
don't do that.
So yeah, we're just encouraging you guys, man. That one, we thank you for the engagement and the comments. Those are great. But honestly, like, we want to talk about and discuss the things that y'all want to talk about. You know what I mean? We have no problems bringing people on with us.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you bring on something that's really interesting and you're like an expert in it, you got like crazy experience on it, and we think people will benefit from that, we have no problem sitting you right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
with a chair.
There'll be a chair.
And a mic.
Yeah.
And all that. So, yeah.
Now, this is in no way, shape, or form saying we don't have stuff to talk about, because we could talk your ear off all day, all night long. We
definitely got stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff to talk about.
But no, I've come into contact with a lot of people who are like starting a podcast now, because one of my offshoot businesses is coaching and advising. I don't like to say consulting on podcast startups. So because a lot of people,
I literally didn't know that.
Because I don't talk about it on purpose. That's what I do. I function on the Hitch method. The majority of my clients come from referral only, and I love it like that.
All right, so for all you entrepreneurs out there, rule number one: if you have a business, right, tell people about it.
Not always.
It's the only way.
No, it's not.
Well, it's not the only way, but
my way is working perfectly fine.
Okay. All right, fine. So you know what? So y'all, he actually doesn't have a coaching business. He doesn't coach podcasts or how to start them up or anything like that.
I've told y'all, you know now, but I mean, it's not something I promote, because again, the Hitch method. If you've ever seen the movie Hitch, you can't find him unless you have one of those cards that was given to you by a former client.
Like word of mouth. Like my massage. Although I still be telling y'all I do massages, but I don't do it to solicit.
Yeah. Well, see, I do it on purpose. One, I'll tell you this. If you have the type of business where volume is important, then absolutely do that. In my line of work, volume isn't important. It's literally quality over quantity.
So you like for life to happen to you?
No, I make it happen, bro.
So it happens for you?
No, not that either.
So it's right in the middle.
You know what? It's funny you bring that up. No. It's funny you bring that up, because I hear people bring that conversation up a lot. Do things happen to you or do things happen for you? And I personally hate the dichotomy that we have to create. We have to create a duality in everything, for there to be a black, white, right, wrong, whatever, so that we can create our form of dogma or whatever, so that we have something to sell. I don't like that.
Okay.
I've never liked that. It's both and neither simultaneously. Life happens to you, and things do happen for you, but it's not a.
Is it broken and not broken at the same time?
It's definitely a Schrodinger's.
Is the cat dead and alive at the same time?
It's a Schrodinger's life until you live it.
Y'all look that up. Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, it's a Schrodinger's life until you live it, until you observe it, and I 100% believe that. But I'm glad. I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because I know how you. I bet I know how you feel.
You know how I think. I just want the betterment of all mankind.
Yeah, you're one of those
Realistic optimist.
Exactly.
I am a realistic optimist.
I'm really.
So why does it bother you so much?
I'm opposed to making everything a duality. I don't like the fact that things have to not have a gray area.
So, question: if life doesn't happen to you, and life doesn't happen for you, because you said it's neither, and you said I make it happen, is that the middle thing?
I think there's some middle to that. Yeah, that's kind of pulling from both. It's the quintessential life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Because life could give you lemons and you can sit there and watch them rot, or life can give you lemons and you can peel them and eat them as such, or you can make something out of them.
So let me ask you a question then, because we're talking about perspective.
It's like a third question, but let's go.
Okay.
Keep saying
Did I say a question? It is a. I'm asking one question at a time. Am I not?
Touche.
People, am I not? Okay.
Touche.
So let me ask you another
question.
So sounds like a perspective thing to me.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
With action
Yes.
behind it, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't something have to happen first? So it sounds to me where, and I'm not saying this is exactly what you said, but like, let's say life happened to you, but you were like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna turn this around. Take the lemon, and I'm gonna make lemonades and make it happen for me. So we still have the bookend.
Sort of, but that's taking the approach of saying that something always happens first, as opposed to you triggering something. Something always happens.
That's facts.
That's why I don't like the dichotomy, because what it requires is you to get below the something always happens.
Yeah.
Whether you do it, something is done to, or whatever, you have to go below that in order to create the duality of, well, what's the function of the happening thing?
And you feel that choice is ours.
For the most part,
I believe
for the
the
most part, I think so. Now, we've had a conversation before about choice and how I feel about that. So, not to tangent,
which we will not revisit.
Not to tangent how I feel about sometimes not having choices. However, when it comes to breaking something all the way down to situational events of whether something is being done to you or happening to you, or you creating the situation for yourself, I'm a situational by situational kind of observer. So when it comes to life or opportunities, I have many situations where I can look at it and say, okay, an event happened that triggered something. Case in point.
I was going to say, do you have any examples?
Yeah. Case in point, the height of my production career, between 2007 through 2009, when we were really doing a bunch of stuff. We were cranking out a lot of stuff. We were writing a lot of stuff. I was in position at KDS down in Orlando. This was back when the runners were still working at KDS in Orlando. So being in those rooms with people and me thinking I was going to be the next Timberland and all that stuff, because I had access. We were putting out the quantity. We were getting records cut. Like, things were starting to happen. I was also up for a job at the same time. I was up for the midday position at Mix 105.1. I was doing nights at the time. I made a preposition because my wife had an opportunity here. I had already lived in Atlanta. I didn't really want to come back to Atlanta. I'm not going to lie. But I made the agreement that if I don't get the midday job, there's nothing holding me here, because I can do production wherever, and Atlanta is Atlanta. Okay. She got the job here. I did not get the midday job at Mix. So holding to my agreement, we moved here. That pulled me from a situation of having that direct access.
Begrudgingly, I might add.
I mean,
it's all good.
I fell into linking back up with you more often, and then that's kind of where this started building faster.
Okay. So you were living in Florida when I was doing that conference?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was in Orlando. I was at home during that. A lot of times I was driving from my house to come out there.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. So that I could easily say that happened to me as a dampening my music career, because that trajectory that we were on, dude, I saw so much magic happening around me. But when I couldn't be in the studio every day in Orlando anymore, and I was here building new relationships and trying to get back to what I already had kind of established, felt like a knock. So I could simply say that turned into a to-me thing. Right. But at the same time, when I got here, I was pulled in by CBS to launch 92.9 The Game. So that took my radio trajectory somewhere that the midday job might not have done in Orlando.
Pause.
So, yeah.
Now, when you say you were pulled in by CBS, Did you? I almost said CVS. He was nothing wrong with CVS. I worked at Eckerd for a hot second. But,
Don't nobody know what Eckerd is. What you talking about?
I know, right? Isn't that crazy? So you said you were pulled in by CVS. Now, did you seek them out and you applied or something?
No. So funny enough, I went back to Orlando on a visit, and I popped up at the studio after I had left.
So it happened. It was like serendipitous.
It kind of, because I went to go see my old program director after I'd left, and he was like, "Hey, so they're doing this. You can do that, right?"
So it came to you.
And it did kind of fall in my lap.
So to my point, there is the shift of where it looked like life was happening to you, and it turned out that it was happening for you, but you didn't do anything about it. You didn't make that happen.
The actual situation, no.
Right.
The track record that created the situation, I have a hard time ignoring.
Well, yeah. So let's be clear about this. Just know you can't be like in bed high all the time, drunk, just partying, not doing nothing, and expect life to happen for you. I mean, if the source has a greater plan for you, then there's nothing. It is what it is. But outside of that, no, that ain't happening. So let's get that clear. So of course your track record puts you in a position.
That's why I struggle with the whole duality and dichotomy creation thing, because I look at stuff non-linearly.
Mm-hmm.
Your career's not
like
built
success, maybe.
Exactly. It's not built on a linear scale, on a linear path. So I mean, things that I did, my consistent ratings in the top 3 while I was in Orlando, consistent #1 for a year straight. Like that stuff brings certain eyes to you, and then when you leave, they went, wait, you were doing good. Why are you leaving? Like, you're doing good? Like, it's those questions generate a buzz by itself.
But I'm trying to understand though. So you're trying to tell me that you didn't show up late all the time. You did a great job when you were there. You don't tell me there were times when you went above and beyond your job description.
Yeah,
you did that crap like that, and somehow that put you in a position for opportunity.
It spiraled for some things.
That doesn't work, man. That doesn't work.
That's not how you do it.
That's not how you do it.
You stay in bed all day and stay high.
That's what you do. Yeah.
No, so that's absolutely what it was. That was during that time where, like, when people say grind mode, like I was on like I was missing. I wasn't going to parties. I wasn't hanging out. I was just talking to a friend of mine from middle school a couple of days ago, and she was like, "When I moved to Orlando, I never saw you." And I was like, "Nobody saw me." Right. Oh, because I was in the studio, in class whenever I did go, or on the radio.
Right.
And I mean, the perception of that alone, like when you're in the music industry, the one thing that I always tell kids, and again, I never got to a point where I can talk about it to where, multi-platinum, multi-Grammy winners can talk about it. But the one thing that you'll realize is that the pictures that get taken from events and stuff makes it look like you're doing more social stuff than you're doing. Mm-hmm. Because most of that stuff is work. A lot of those events where the pictures get taken are networking events.
Right.
That's work.
But it looks like you out there partying.
Yeah.
Having fun.
And that party is like an hour. You may go for 45 minutes, show your face, shake a couple hands, meet a couple people, set up a meeting or two, and then back to the studio. Right. A lot of times for me, it was I would go to class. All my classes were set up in the morning when I had them. And then to the radio station for production, to the studio for production, back to the radio station because my shows were at night. Mm-hmm. Get off the air, back to the studio till 2 a.m. Run that. I did that for 5 years.
Yeah.
So no, people didn't see me. So I was really in that. In order to get to that next level, you had to do the above and beyond. Mm-hmm. So it was, and I was also in that whole mindset of I'll sleep when I dead thing. I was before I got smart.
Yeah, right.
So yes, I struggle with looking at it from a 2 or 4 thing, because had I not done all of that stuff, that one opportunity I don't think would have ever shown up. Because
and I shouldn't just assume that people would know that that's a given. Yeah, well, like that's the prerequisite. Right. I shouldn't just assume that, but that's the prerequisite.
That's the prerequisite. Yeah, it's one of those say it without saying it. I mean, it's kind of a go.
And so, well, it is a prerequisite. But it's not an across the board prerequisite, because there are still some times when, like if you look at COVID, for example, COVID hitting had nothing to do with my work ethic. It had nothing to do with what I've done in music. It had nothing to do with any skill or talent. COVID hit everybody the same for the most part, right? Thank God. It was never more than the sniffles for me. But when it hit, it forced me to be quiet. I was down in the man cave a lot. Obviously we had the studio, but then the studio There was nothing going on. Then we had to shut down. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. And people were getting online. I think we even did a podcast. We were like, this is a perfect chance to either start the business you would want to start. So we were telling people, and thank goodness it was one of the few times I practiced what I preached.
Talking to yourself one time, yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Sometimes I'm working on practicing what I'm preaching. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when I'm looking at you, but I'm preaching at me. So anyway, I did that. And
a lot of these podcasts are affirmations.
A lot of these podcasts are y'all think it's a camera. It's really just a mirror.
Just a mirror.
It's a mirror. Facts. So anyway, long story short, there was a moment where I came to the fact that I said, I need a friend up. You know, I wrote these new affirmations for myself called Increase. And I think I shared them with you. It's like I increase in favor, finances, wisdom, wealth, influence, affluence, riches, resources, position and power, health and happiness, peace and prosperity. And then I expounded on each one. So during that time, I said, I'm going to speak these over my life. I'm going to believe them in my heart until I can feel them. And they're going to start happening. I said, I need a friend up because I don't mind coaching. Again, I do music business coaching. I don't mind doing that. I mentor. I'm on the board of L.I.F.E Atlanta, where we deal with at-risk students and things like that, underprivileged students. I'm on another board, and I that's what I do because giving and inspiring and teaching and mentoring is my thing. But I do it a lot. And then when Stone needs to be mentored or inspired and teacher, I have to go on YouTube and watch Pastor Taffy Pastor Dollar and Pastor Taffy or T.D. Jakes or name them, because there's tons of people out there, even people like Aaron Apke and stuff like that. So that's where a lot of mine.
One time I haven't seen you mention Eric Thomas, but okay.
Well, so here's the thing, and no knock on Eric.
Okay.
I like listening to Eric Thomas when I need to kick myself in the butt.
Okay.
He comes in handy, very well in handy for that. When I need to learn something I never knew before.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Then I'm listening to a lot of other people.
Okay.
And that's why I call myself an empowerment speaker and not a motivational speaker. And we know my whole spiel about that. Motivation can come and go. I want to give you something that you can use even when the chips are down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, no, E.T., he's doing his thing. He's inspirational. He's inspired me, so I can say that. So now that my mind is set that, hey, I am going to friend up, I have set my intention. And I'm saying these things on purpose and slowly so y'all can understand the steps. And when I set my intention, I set my thermostat, I set my radar. It's like when you decided to buy the Benz, when your mind was locked, I got to ask you, and don't just say yes if it's not true, but when you decided that was the car you're going to get, if that's something you decided ahead of time, I don't know, or if you just came across it.
No, it was, yeah.
All right. Did you not see that car all over the place before you bought it?
My mom got one.
Yeah, and everyone knows that story because that's what happens. When you set your thermostat, you start noticing things.
You notice everything.
So I'm set. I'm friending up. So COVID's over or dissipating. A friend of mine, Chris Capehart, a very wealthy investment broker or retail broker, retail investor. Lord, get my terms right. He's thinking about starting this restaurant.
Right.
He's telling us about it, and we met him through my friend Nate Butler. Shout out to Nate.
Big ups, Nate.
So we go to his house for a tasting. It's delicious. It's wonderful. And we're like, we want in. You know what I mean? And he starts telling me about this group he's a part of and this guy named Cliff Oxford. And he's telling me, I was like, man, this guy sounds amazing. This group sounds amazing. But by then, my mind is already set of friending up. So normally I hear conversations. I hear you, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. But this one, because my antenna is set, there's a connection there. Right. I was like, how do I be a part of this group? He said, well, you got me invited. I was like, well, nigga, don't invite me. You know what I'm saying? So he had to call Cliff and ask. And then Cliff said, yeah, you can bring him. So I went to a meeting, met Cliff. We clicked. Everything was great. Boom. Now I'm part of this group called Cliff Co. Changed my life.
Yeah.
And I tell you about it all the time.
All the time.
All the time. We've had Cliff here on the podcast.
I like the way you tell the story when you say, I decided my friend circle wasn't strong enough, including you, Johnny. I needed better friends than you.
Because you had jumped in, and right when I'm about to say something, when I say, and this is facts, not just because my boy's sitting here, and I think you can go through several podcasts and you hear me mention this before, that you are actually one of the people where I learned a ton of stuff from.
You have said that.
And I've told you, man, I've learned a ton of Pareto principle. Heard about it, didn't really know what it was. The whole thing where you looking at a particle and it only does what you do. I forget what you call it. Some theory of observation, if you will. But it falls in line with the Schindler's List thing.
Schrodinger's.
The Nicole Scherzinger. Yes. I can never say the word. Can you say it right for them again, please?
Schrodinger.
Huh?
Schrodinger.
Schrodinger.
Yeah. Close
right?
enough.
And it has an umlaut over the O.
Does,
so
yeah.
it's Schrödinger.
Schrödinger.
Schrödinger's effect or something.
Well, his cat is what you're talking about.
Schrödinger's cat.
Yeah.
All that crap. I've been learning from you. So you're on that list of people who I learned from. So, I don't know, where's this story going? We're talking about life happening to you and for you. Well, so the life happening to me was COVID.
Right.
But when it shifted to life happening for me was COVID caused me to have that frame of thought, which then caused me to hear Chris, which then caused me to leave me to CliffCo. And being ever since being in part of CliffCo, I am now partners with Chris in the restaurant. It's called Morning Birds in Roswell, Georgia. It is freaking delicious. Got to take you as soon as we get back.
Yep.
If you don't go before I get back, I'm taking you as soon as we get back.
Well, I was waiting for that because I know you said we were going to go together.
There's so many friends that be like, oh, I got to go. So you want to host them. And I've been there 4 times now. I know I'm a part of the restaurant. I'm almost tired of it though because I'm there so.
You all the time.
I'm like, let me take a break before I get tired of my own restaurant.
I ain't got no problem. I'll slide before you get back then because I know you said we were gonna go. I don't know if we were going to do a meeting there with somebody. Is what
Probably, but we're going when we get back. It's amazing. So because of Chris, I'm a part of that.
Okay.
Chris helps us with all of our real estate stuff. So he's not only a good, but let's call it what it is. He's a valuable friend. Through him, I met Cliff. So the investment thing I was a part of.
Okay.
We're getting out.
Okay.
So
because you're shifting the investment.
No. Here's to say, not to say that it's a scam. It's not saying I want to go on record saying I'm not saying that because so far we've made money.
Right.
However, you don't know what you don't know, which is why, man, oh man. This is why it's so important that there's tons of podcasts out there. Please just pick some, ours included, that's going to teach you something. Because the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, right? Unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. So with this, I asked some questions, but I had some red flags in my gut, like the rate of return, right? Super high. I told you what that was. When I told you what that was, you're like, what? You kind of looked at me like, I don't know about that.
And also, because you remember I had a friend who did something similar, and I was like, yeah, I remember I looked over his contract for that same thing. He did a couple of them, and then right after, the guy who he did the investment with went to jail, and he got out just in time.
Yeah.
So
thank goodness none of that has happened yet. But either way, just the rate of return was
really high.
And then just the paperwork. It was like 2 pages, if that. And I was like, this. I've done publishing deals that's like 20 pages long. Like, so tiny things are happening. So finally I ran it by Cliff. I said, can you take a look at this and da-da-da-da. And he was like, I don't know, Stone. Now, both of our hesitancy was with the guy that brought me in. For all accounts and that I know, upstanding guy. As a matter of fact, some of the things about this didn't really match him. Yeah. So I'm wondering if maybe he's getting duped by his partner or something. Sure. I don't know. But either way, we're looking at it. Cliff's like, yeah, I don't know. So then I sent him the video that they sent us explaining it. Cliff hit me right back. He said, my red flag just went to a red siren. He said, get the bleep out. And Cliff doesn't really cuss. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, you cussing? He goes, get out. Get out now. He's like, in order to do this, you have to be a triple A. And then there's no way in the world you have this just sitting in cash. I know legit huge contractors that aren't even this. And da-da-da. I was like, okay, all right. Saying, but I ran it by another friend of mine named Ted, investor guy. He hit me back and said, I don't know, Stone. I will. His text said, I would probably walk away. And he said, Jesus. When he said Jesus, I was like, oh, you had to say Jesus? I was like, that's a whole nother. When someone look at you, be like, Jesus, like that's some other thing. So I got the red siren and get the F out and the Jesus. You don't have to tell me anymore.
Well, that's the thing. You got 4 confirmations on the same thing,
including my own
starting
gut.
with our initial one,
ours. And then my gut, just my gut right from the way.
Exactly.
So we're phasing out.
Okay.
But again, being a part of CliffCo,
right?
And I even met Ted through Lee. And I met Lee at CliffCo. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the investments we're going through right now that we're doing, and I got to bring you on this other investment that I'm getting into. It's legit though. Like it's a REIT type thing, but it's an alternative, but it's totally government.
Okay.
And Cliff was like, I have my money in this. So, so I'm like, all right, so I got to share that with you too.
All right.
But again, that was a huge friend up. And then the people that I'm meeting through there, we haven't, how do I say this very lightly? I told you about it already, but there is a business partnership forming.
Okay.
I'm going to go on record and say that it's not solidified.
All right.
okay? Because I usually don't talk about anything till everything's signed on dotted line. But this is inspiring.
You get on me for
But
not
this is
doing
inspiring.
it. Okay.
So I want to inspire. Because it's nice, it's inspirational when you see someone's growth too.
Okay.
Right? So there is a business relationship forming between Icon and the Atlanta airport.
We've actually talked about that. Yeah.
huge.
I'm excited about that.
Huge.
So when I flew back in from Denver last week, I walked by the spot.
Yeah, I told you about it.
Yeah. And I was like, I can see that now.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see it because I didn't know the spot.
Right.
I saw the spot and I was like, yeah, this is gonna fly. Yeah,
so that's I'm gonna end it there because this is getting drawn out. But at the
Done.
end of the day, just to remind you guys where we're coming from,
Yeah.
COVID happened to me. Life happened to me. It sucked.
Yeah.
Right. But then because of that, life ended up happening for me. But there was still something I had to do in the middle, and where my perspective is concerned and my paradigm is concerned, in order to take advantage of that. And
Yeah.
for me personally, it was being introspective. I'm gonna take this opportunity. What can I do? What can I make of it? And I set my certain intentions, and it wielded that way. With you, hey, I'm not gonna be in Orlando. I'm gonna come up here. You know what? If I'm up here, I'm gonna do this. And all of a sudden, now CBS is calling you. So, yeah.
Now, caveat to the CBS thing too. CBS was also the company I had just left, so there was already a relationship that helped too.
Okay, no, that absolutely.
I want to put this in because I love it when we do these conversations that force me to have revelations while we're having the conversation.
For sure.
Because I end up thinking deeper. I mean, I'm always a deep thinker with most of the stuff because I'm like you. I don't want to move on something unless I put that into it. I think I can set a different tone for my distaste for the dichotomy and duality that we build to have the conversation, and actually paint out that it actually is a reality of how it functions. However, there's a precursor to the something happening to you and then it evolving into the happening for you. It's the doing part that happens first. Because when we talk about that, it takes 10 years to make an overnight success. You hear that a lot.
Can we balance that?
Sure. I think I might have been about to.
Because
but what
I'll
do you-
disagree.
Okay.
Because I'll disagree. I'll agree, but disagree.
Okay.
I agree that there is a doing.
Yeah.
I'll disagree that it always has to be first.
Well, I don't mean it always has to be first.
Okay, there we
I'm doing a generalization of it because
okay.
The reason why I'm painting it out, the reason why I was using the example of the overnight success is the heights of my radio career would not have happened without everything I did in music first. All of that led to it by some way, shape, or form. Like some of the relationships I made, the radio job actually came out of music. I was producing a commercial spot for a client and happened to go up there and needed an externship for school.
Right.
And they happened to I find out about it by going to turn in a commercial that was going to be running at the station. That whole synchronicity there is what spawned out of music. So everything that happened the next 15 years wouldn't have happened from work I was putting in before that. And then, you do 10, 12 years of ridiculously hard work. You see a little bit of fruit here and there. And then there's this window where stuff just happens nonstop. Relationships start to blossom faster. You're constantly elevating upwards in whatever you're doing, whether it me going from nights to middays, from middays to mornings, like that. That stuff happened within the span of like 3 years after 12 years of work. Right. So I think it forces me to take a step back out of looking at it from does it happen to or for you, and looking at it as it's just a natural progression of how the process itself works. So it may still lend to it just being a perspective thing of how you decide to look at it.
Well, I think it's always going to end up being a perspective thing.
Okay.
Like, period. I don't think that's the one part I don't think we'll get around.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, if the perspective isn't correct, then the doing won't happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If your perspective isn't correct. So, and I'm thinking of people right now, like, some of y'all, like, what seems to be going around right now are all these relationships busting up. Yeah. And breakups and all this stuff and all this heartache. And unfortunately, my timeline is just full of just people of like this traumatic season in my life and all these quotes that are like side shots, get rid of people in your life that don't really care about you. And, they was just some sorry ass ends and this, and, I just post after post. I'm like, y'all are depressing me. Like, I'm like, where are all the positive stuff I'll be following? You know what I'm saying? But, and especially for women, but this could work for men too, but I've seen a lot with women, like when that relationship goes sour and it didn't happen the way you want, or you got hurt, you got done totally wrong or whatever it was, the natural thing is for now you to be scarred, for you to be damaged, You know but you can take something that happened to you, and then make it happen for you. So, and what I'm finding is, I can think of two people right now where they're totally different women because of what happened to their relationship, and it sucks because the women that we were before this, there was a whole lot more light, laughter, fun. It was just great. I prefer them now, but like back then, it was different. But they got damaged by this, and it's one thing to learn from something. But you can learn and still be the same person. You know, you can still be trustworthy, but know that you know now what to look for and what not to trust. All of a sudden, you don't just put up this general wall. Yeah. I don't just trust, And that's what we tend to do. So I'm saying all that to say, you know, you have to have the perspective so that you know what to do. But then when you do that thing, do it in a way that is advantageous to you. And if in any way, shape, or form it looks like it's sending you to a dark place, or you're becoming someone who you don't want to be, or someone that you don't like, or someone that's not naturally you, like pay attention to that, you know, and make the adjustment. So that's what I feel. And that goes for anything. Yeah. You know, losing a job or losing anything where life happens to you. Whenever we say life happens to you, we're always thinking negative. Sure. But sometimes life can happen to you. Yeah. And it's straight up positive.
Be the absolute opposite.
But that's when we say it happens for us.
Right. There you go. So that'll be the perspective thing. The only caveat, it's not even a caveat. The thing I want to put in there is that my observation of the society we live in now is a general society of victims. Everybody needs to have a hurt story, because that sells. Hurt sells for some reason. People,
and it makes you look like a big overcomer and achiever.
Which is why I'm so terrified for Travis Kelce right now, because I know what his life is about to become. He doesn't even, and it's sad. I mean, it's the thing. When he was with that sister, I felt like he was really in touch. But like now, I'm realizing how out of touch. He doesn't even know he's about to be an album. He doesn't even realize
he's about to be a song.
That he's going to be like 6 or 7 songs. Every ex this girl has had is the reason why she has this movie that's out right now. Like I used to dig, and I'm just like,
keep your power, Travis. Just if it does go separate ways, keep it as positive and amicable as you can. And notice, and even if you have to admit that you're wrong when you're not, if you want to stay off that album. Oh my God, that is so real. That is so real.
That girl has mastered the art of being a victim and turning it into something for her. And Travis don't even, bro, you don't even know. So great. You don't even know life is about to happen to you.
Well, we're assuming that they're gonna fail. I mean, that's an assumption.
Show me some history that proves otherwise.
I mean, the girl's still only 30. Is she even 30?
She running out of time, bro.
Is she even 30?
Listen.
Is she not like 28
Travis,
or something?
Enjoy that 300, 400% in jersey sales. You got to the Super Bowl, bro. Don't lose the Super Bowl. That's going to be the reason.
All right, so this is where we see who's more positive and who's more freaking negative. They can make it.
Have you listened to a Taylor Swift? I don't even want to say it. Have you listened to an album? Have you heard an album?
But this is her growing up.
Sure.
So here's it. Eventually, she's going to be the dude that she marries and hopefully is happily ever after.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we to say that doesn't start right now?
I don't know. You're right.
We don't know.
Yeah, I just need to make a note revisit
but
this episode.
It is a sidebar note.
After February.
We're just giving you a not an evacuation plan, but an emergency how to deal with
this
kit.
Is your red flag.
Yeah, this is how to deal with
siren.
Kit. So you just pack this kit and keep it aside with no intentions of ever needing it. But should the time come, then you realize, say yes when it's a no, say you're right when I'm wrong, or wrong when I'm right, whatever. So that way there's no song coming out about you.
It's going to be an album, bro.
But that was hilarious.
I'm praying for the brother. That's all I'm saying. Because
I'm tired. I'm tired of hearing the whole Kelsey Swift.
Oh, it sucks. That's why I didn't say the name. That's why I didn't say the name. So. I think it's a prime example though of watching things happen to you, because that relationship has done great for his sales. It's brought a new audience to the NFL.
Brought a new economy.
It's done that. But
same with Deion.
Oh yeah,
Deion's brought
everything
a new
that's
economy
happening.
everywhere
He's
he goes.
changed.
That's something.
I just left Denver. That bleed over is not even just in Boulder, dude. We felt that in Denver, which is 90 miles away.
I don't watch college.
Well, that's true. Yeah, and everybody's
now
watching
I
that.
watch University of Colorado football. I really do.
Even after they got blown out. They didn't get blown out. They blew a 29-point lead recently. But I mean, that's a.
I mean, wait.
Yes, Stanford knocked them off after being down 20. They lost in overtime.
Oh, they did lose in overtime. All right, that's cool.
I turned the game off. Oh, this is over.
Everyone knew the Oregon thing was going to happen.
Oh yeah, no question.
Right?
I knew the USC thing was going to happen.
Well, the USC thing. What I was hoping was that such a lesson will be learned with Oregon. It prepared them to face a number 3 USC, which I want to argue maybe that it did. Because think about it. They were being blown out the water. And to come back and lose by 1 possession against a USC, to me, it actually almost says more against USC than it does for University of Colorado. A little bit. I mean, it can go either way.
I'll say this.
But I think that comeback alone says a lot more than the loss does.
If you keep it on the surface level, sure. USC isn't as good as they look on paper. That's what that really is. The game.
I don't follow college. I mean, I know they were number 3. I think.
I mean, they're good.
And Oregon was like number 10. But
they're a good squad. Oregon is leaps and bounds better than USC. What happened to them in that game was supposed to happen. That the closeness of the SC game should have been close throughout the whole game.
Right.
Colorado just got boat raced early, and then they showed that they can.
So life happened to Colorado, and life happened for USC. And guess what? You know what? You can make life happen to you.
Yes, you can.
Or you can make life happen for you. This is how we do that. Well, right now, if life is happening to you, turn it around and make it happen for you by subscribing and liking to this podcast. Yeah. Trust me when I say it'll happen for you all day, baby. All day, baby. I don't know where that's coming from right now, but I just felt the need to do it. So anyway, lifeonpodcast.com. That's where you can always look at the last 10 episodes, like and subscribe. If you want to follow me, you can do so at stonestafford.com. On there, you can find my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my Twitter. If you want to sign up for a coaching session, I'm right there. Just click on that and schedule it with me.
Just Johnny Vaughn, JUSTJONYVAN. Put it in all your stuffs.
Yo, we are out of here. We love y'all. 1 million subscribers
in 2023.
We're not giving up on it because you're not giving up on us. Like and subscribe and share and tell a friend. We love y'all. We are out. Peace.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.